part-time aspect of life.
Slow, like the wind. Breathe out, breathe in.
Not cool, it's not cool. Would give all fancy toys to have you by my side, driving and weeping by the good ones.
Everything Cry of past. Circumstantial Saint revolutionist.
Game where I had to change some things.
I love me.
I choose to look at myself selfishly because this path that I'm on is only about me.
Rise against the system, rise and fight, fight for the dreams, the children, the hurt, hunger, lost souls from cancer's addictions, slavery and sins, fight for the lost friends, fight for
Authentically you. And everything's always gonna be okay. Just keep vibing, just keep vibing, just keep vibing. Just keep vibing, just keep vibing, just keep vibing.
Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale. Exhale.
Just
Exhale.
breathe,
Breathe.
believe,
Breathe.
be free. Breathe.
Inside. Heart. Align. Breathe. Inside. Inside.
There we are. Sorry about that.
Hey,
Hey,
I was like,
everybody.
where are we? Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Divine Circumstances.
Welcome back, y'all.
I am Divine Marie, a writer, poet, business owner, certified Reiki master, and plant-based cook. I'm working to actively bring up the next generation with self-awareness and spiritual guidance, seeking to break and transmute generational traumas. I create safe spaces for others to be able to express themselves so they can heal.
That's right. And I am Circumstantial Saint, a poet, musician, music and visual producer, writer, storyteller, historian, and author who takes the duty seriously, which is preserving, elevating, and transmitting the oral traditions, history, and culture of our people while seeking to help elevate and better connect our people, whether through information or vibration.
And we both serve as entertainers and historians, ensuring that the cultural heritage of the community is not lost and that future generations can learn from it.
This is Divine Circumstances. As usual, we want to know what makes you flow, what makes your flow divine, which circumstances grow you to align. And this is a web-based show, a web show, podcast, part open mic, part healing session, where we want to hear your work and then break it down, listen to what inspired you to write or think of your piece or what it's about as it may pertain to a topic for the evening. So this evening, we're going to try and connect some dots circling around toxicity of food, chakras, and eating healthy and growing to be a more self-sustainable individual.
Yes.
Divine, tell them when we are live.
So we are typically live every other Wednesday at 8:30. Had a little time change this week, but remember you can watch us anytime on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we would love for you guys to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss future sessions. And we really love when other people engage with us. So if you guys ever want to be on the show or watch it live and comment and engage so we can all learn and grow together.
That's right.
Yeah. And for more from us, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Divine Marie, and TikTok, Divine Marie, Bandcamp, divinemarie.bandcamp.com, and Circumstantial Saint will tag all of our pages to this episode so you guys can know where to check us out.
You already know. And myself, Circumstantial Saint, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X Threads, Bandcamp, Spotify, any music service you listen to, all that stuff. Several books for sale. If you're looking, you can reach me. And my books and all my social media links and my music links on my Instagram bio. So also try considering Bandcamp, because I want to talk about that real quick, because Bandcamp is an awesome way for musicians to really get their music heard and make good money off of it. So it allows artists to sell their own works and creations themselves and puts money directly into our pockets. Consider subscribing to monthly packages where you get exclusive tracks, audio, and more that you won't find anywhere else. And Bandcamp is kind of like Netflix and Facebook rolled into one for artists, so it's really dope.
Yeah, I love Bandcamp, and thank you to everyone that has, bought our music on Bandcamp. We truly appreciate it because, as independent artists, we are sponsoring ourselves at this point. So yes, thank you for all the love and continued support. So you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's go. I didn't actually explain I don't even want to call it a title, because we have a whole theme that we wanted to go with this evening. But it falls under a bunch of different kind of brackets, right? And you could take these little pockets and break them into other episodes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened, but I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Okay. Sounded like my mic kind of split up. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, I can't hear you.
Hold on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, I can't hear you.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Let me hop back in.
Okay.
Before I go, hop off of here real quick. Do you mind telling everyone what tonight is going to be about?
Yes, sure. Do you want me to start reading? Okay, everybody. So tonight we are going to discuss food and really like the toxicity of the food that is fed to us in America, and how certain foods are banned in other countries but not in America. So we're really trying to figure out why that is, especially when we know it's toxic to our body. We're also going to be discussing how to eat for each chakra and eating, foods from all colors of the rainbow. And we're going to also be sharing a little bit of our own personal journeys with food and plant-based lifestyles.
Thank you for that. If I happen to go out by any chance, I am still here on my laptop. So if
Okay.
it be too much on my phone, I will just switch to the laptop. And as you know, you won't be able to see me, but you can still hear me. So we
Okay.
still have that. All right. Let's just go ahead and get into it. I want to talk about the connections real quick, right? So
Yeah.
food is a universal and a multi-dimensional aspect of human life, entailing psychological, physical, and emotional features, and is independent of any particular theories or subjective views. It is a highly philosophical topic that can be understood and explored from various different perspectives in terms of the most pragmatic and holistic approaches. When it comes to research, food studies can cover an array of topics from physical to social sciences, humanities, interdisciplinary, and multidisciplinary studies, and even go deeper into specializing into very particular subjects. Both food and spirituality cover similarly wide grounds in terms of scope, subjectivity, and research areas. The
Mm-hmm.
spirituality aspect of food has only recently started being explored in literature, and considering the number of articles published, it becomes clear that it is a novel and an emerging research subject. Now, that's a little tidbit of tying in food and spirituality, but I want to
Yeah.
give you some cold hard facts real quick, and I want to just kind of slap you with some bluntness.
Mm-hmm.
So the American diet has changed dramatically since 1958, right? When
Mm-hmm.
Congress gave the United States Food and Drug Administration, otherwise known as the FDA, the authority to ensure the safety of chemicals in food. Since then, thousands of chemicals have entered the food system, yet their
Mm-hmm.
long term chronic effects have been woefully understudied, their health risks inadequately assessed. The FDA has been sluggish in considering scientific knowledge about the impact of exposures, particularly at low levels and during susceptible developmental stages. Hmm. And I want to get to that in a second, too. The agency's failure to adequately account for the risks of I still haven't got a chance to look up the proper pronunciation of this word,
Mm-hmm.
perchlorate. It's a well characterized endocrine disrupting chemical. And I know you want to talk about that at some point because it's stuff that we all can touch on with the endocrine system and how many disruptors are in all of our foods.
Yeah.
Um, but the risk from this particular chemical is pretty traumatic, and the FDA's inability to effectively manage the safety of hundreds of chemicals is putting our children's health at risk. And over the
Mm-hmm.
course of the 50s, Congress debated legislation that sought to address rising concerns about the safety of hundreds of new industrially produced chemicals, transforming the way Americans grew, packaged, processed, and transported the food they ate. And in 1982, a select committee of experts provided the FDA with recommendations to improve chemical safety. Among their main issues were to pay special attention to the effects of chemicals on behavioral changes and the endocrine system, not to assume that chemicals below a certain concentration are not hazardous, and to ensure susceptible populations were protected. I want to stop here because
Okay.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so let's just, for one, touch on the endocrine system and the disrupt what you know about like how a lot of these chemicals can chemically disrupt us, and maybe talk about any experiences that you have concerning that.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like this gets deep. So as you guys may know or may not, but the endocrine system is made up of our body's different hormones. It regulates, all the biological processes in the body. And that really starts at, you know, birth and goes through adulthood into old age, like including how our brain develops, our nervous system, and our blood sugar, our metabolism, and these foods are really like just fucking with our hormones, our behavior, our nervous system. Um, I have learned, from just my own research and my studies that a lot of kids, I don't I don't want to just like say this because I don't know. There's not a lot of research on this, but it has been linked that kids that eat a lot of like processed foods with dyes and dairy have been linked to having more susceptible to being diagnosed with ADHD and autism. Um,
Look, anytime I go to the corner store and I see a bunch of rambunctious teens, I'm gonna assume that they've been eating Takis all day,
exactly.
and
And
that's real.
yeah, and I was listening to something, another podcast I was listening to, and it was saying like we're sending our kids to school in the mornings, feeding them like sugary cereals, and then wondering why they can't sit still.
Yep,
And then
focus.
it's, oh, they have ADHD, and then we're just gonna shove Ritalin down their throat and try to make them stay still. When for one, it's not even like it doesn't even make sense to try to have children stay still all day for 6 hours anyway. But the food that we're feeding to our children are causing these behavioral issues. Yeah,
Yep.
and unfortunately, like this could be a whole nother topic, but it's more susceptible in lower income families because lower income families they can't afford the whole organic fruits and
Right.
vegetables. So the first thing that they're buying their kids is the cheap cereals, the cheap snacks, whatever they can do just to get by, and it's unfortunate.
That is the one thing I wanted to touch on too, is that black and brown people are more susceptible to being put in food deserts. I like to call it
Yeah.
food apartheid instead of a
Hmm.
food desert. Lack of proper resources for an adequate diet.
Yes.
And when you are eating things that are disrupting your system, like sugar and salt, high sugar and salt content is going
Hmm.
to starve your body and going to make you react in a certain way. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to feed these people this and take away stuff from their diet so they can barely think, because a lot of these chemicals that people are consuming in areas that are in food apartheid are not giving you the tools mentally to uh think critically. There's a lot of studies that show lack of attention span,
Yeah.
hyperactivity, the whole
Yeah.
ADHD, the whole nine, more aggression,
Yep.
and hyperactivity, just not being able to think straight. So
Mhm.
when you got whole communities doing that and you see crime, well, why do you think? It's not just the conditions, it's
Mhm.
the diet as well in the environment that contributes to those things happening. And when you have, and we will talk about that in a bit, like talking about the rainbow and eating all colors of the rainbow and the chakras that they're aligned with, but they really do get you to have a fuller feel. It's just so hard to explain, but the more
No.
that you eat of different colors, the better you do end up feeling, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, to go back to this article real quick, and I'm gonna put the articles in the comments so people can check it out. But I believe I did put them in the content of the individual videos. However, you're watching, if you're watching on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever, the links to these articles should be there. But since the 50s, a lot of things have been progressively packaged and processed over time, to the point
Yeah.
where kids today are afraid of apples and oranges.
I
And
know.
they see a zucchini and they're freaking out, like, what am I supposed to do with it? You're supposed to eat it.
Mhm.
But these kids don't know. They don't know that you can literally just grow a potato in your kitchen, and a bunch of potatoes in your kitchen, and have something to eat for
You're
a good
right.
amount of time, you know? So these are things that, and I do want to touch on it because there are some bits in this article that do touch on the fact that, where's this? I do want to read this really quick because it's a great statistic. One in
Okay.
three households are now growing some kind of food,
Oh yeah, that's dope. I love that.
and that's
And
brought
I'm
on
one
by
of the three. I'm one of the three because I am growing I'm growing tomatoes, I'm growing carrots, peppers, green onions, and that's it so far.
damn, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And my little
That's what's
plants are
up.
flourishing. So I am so excited.
See, and this is part of a bigger trend that I was reading about, that since the pandemic and the pandemonium at
Yeah.
grocery stores of people fighting over food and resources, a lot of people decided that it was time that they became more self-sustainable. And then with the whole panic of the pandemic overall, really also contributed to that.
Hmm.
But also, in contrast, farmers account for 1% of the population, and over 60% of these farmers are above the age of 55.
Mm.
So youth are less in uh youth really aren't becoming farmers these days, and
Yeah.
that leads to more industrial farming happening in our country, which
Hmm.
means that it's upon us to take care of ourselves anyway. We've been raised up in a couple generations now to have food given to us at any time and have all this choice, but that's
Yeah.
not the natural way, and it doesn't
Right.
help our
Right.
bodies either. and our bodies are more accustomed to seasonal things, and so we got to get back to that.
Hmm.
'Cause
Yeah, that's so important. It's like when food became convenient, like a convenience, it really messed up Americans because yeah, it's
yep,
supposed to be a process. You're supposed to be growing your foods, and like you said, eating certain things in season. That's so important. Our bodies need that. So I've been trying to eat for the season for sure, for the seasons here now that we're here in fall and winter, eating more of the green leafy vegetables, the squash, the heartier things, but still healthy. But yeah, this
right,
is the season that you need to kind of bulk up in those certain vegetables to get your immune system through this cold weather.
right. So on that note, tell me about like your journey up to like, for example, root vegetables, because I do want to talk, we're going to talk about that in a bit about like connecting to the chakras, but I know for the root chakra, eating roots, especially during the winter, is a big thing. So
Mhm.
like, what was your process of like your journey as far as like, hi,
Here's my son. He's about to
howdy?
say hi to everybody. Hello. I didn't. Love Go ahead. I'll see you in the morning. You can leave my door cracked. So
Oh.
leave it cracked. All right, that's good.
I
All right.
wanted to ask quick, what was like the catalyst for your journey of not only discovering this, but taking it upon yourself to actually implement some things that you were learning?
As far as like the plant-based diet, or
As far as just learning about the country we live in, the food that's shoved down our throat, and taking it upon yourself to go down the path of living meat free in general, because that's big.
well, I would say the first thing that I watched What the Health on Netflix. I watched that actually a little bit before the pandemic. I think I watched that in like maybe 2019. But seeing that documentary and seeing how the animals are treated and how toxic it is and how like we're really killing the planet because we're eating all this meat. And so yeah, that was the first thing where I was like, okay, like this is disgusting. Like why are we eating these animals? This is just disgusting. And so from there I started making changes. Like I started taking out red meat, taking out pork. Definitely I don't actually, I haven't ate pork in the longest time, just because I've always known that pork was like one of the worst for us. um so yeah, I started out like taking things out slowly. So it started out with like taking out red meat. Um, and then from there, I think in 2021 is when I decided to transition over completely. Um, and I'm trying to think what actually made me start it. Just not like hearing more stuff about um, how bad meat is for you. Like there's so many different resources now these days that are sharing the effects that meat are having on our body. Like
Right.
I saw something that talked about chicken and how chicken, they're like shooting chickens up with all these hormones, and especially for women it's
Mm-hmm.
really bad for us to eat that because it messes with our
Hmm.
reproductive system. I started seeing I
I
actually saw
wanna I wanna touch on that real quick, but go ahead, finish your thought.
I was seeing like, how mucus it gets built up in your body from eating dairy and just little things like that.
We're not
I kept
supposed to eat
on
dairy.
seeing it, and when I started slowly making those changes, I was noticing the differences in my body, and that's when I realized like, okay, this is for real. Like
Yep.
this is real.
No, you're right. Especially about the mucus, and Manta posts a lot about the different fruits and vegetables that are like acidic, that get rid of the mucus, that break it up, and the
Yeah.
fruit that produce
Yeah.
mucus. And I've seen those same post too, but it's
Mhm.
nice that to see somebody else with that knowledge as well, right? Especially another
Yeah.
brother. You talked about the chicken, and that's something I actually put in the notes, right? So this
Mhm.
is an article that I found called "U.S. Foods Banned in Other Countries. Why?"
Mm.
So let's talk about. I'm gonna run through them real quick, so keep up.
Okay.
All right. Dairy with RBST and RBGH hormones, milk in the US, unless marked otherwise, is treated with either RBST or RBGH, which are artificial hormones that stimulate milk production. And the FDA says there's no difference in the milk produced by cows treated with the hormone. But countries like Canada and those in the European Union ban it. Mountain Dew, the citrus flavored soft drink, contains brominated vegetable oil as an emulsifier. The BF
Mm.
the BVO is banned in Japan and the European Union because it contains bromine, an element found in brominated flame retardants, which can
Mm.
build up in the body, potentially lead to memory loss as well as skin and nerve problems. Farm raised salmon.
Oh, yes, I did hear about this one too.
Mhm. Farm raised salmon available in America is fed with astaxanthin to give it its coral color. Salmon containing this petrochemical is banned for consumption in Australia and New Zealand. Chicken, chicken
Mm.
that's been chlorinated, chicken produced in the United States gets washed in chlorine to reduce its risk of spreading diseases and illnesses like salmonella. This
Mm.
practice is banned in the UK and European Union because it promotes unsanitary farming practices. And I'm just gonna run through these rest real quick. Little Debbie Swiss rolls, yellow 5 and red 40,
Mhm.
uh, Frosted Flakes, Honey Bunches of Oats, Rice Krispies contain BHT, a flavor enhancer, which is banned in the European Union and Japan. Coffee Mate are linked to heart disease and officially banned in the U.S. as of June 2018. However, they still linger in the U.S. food supply.
Mm.
Wow.
That's
Stovetop stuffing, drumstick, frozen dairy desserts, Skittles, which of course, as you know, contain yellow 5, yellow 6, red 40 dyes,
yeah.
which are bad for you all around the way and
Yeah.
really do disrupt your endocrine system and cause lots of hyperactivity in young kids and people in general. Uh,
Mhm.
I hope you can still hear me because it looks like I'm frozen.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So then we've got Pop Tarts, Gatorade, which
Mm.
is banned everywhere because it
Yeah.
contains, yeah, bread with potassium bromide, which like a lots of white bread they say not to eat, but they also say that lots of wheat bread you shouldn't eat either.
I
Um,
know. I seen that.
so you really want to just make bread at home, to be honest,
Right.
which you should be doing anyway, because bread shouldn't last 2 weeks or more. Bread should only last a few days. Ritz
Fresh bread.
crackers,
I love
sun kissed
fresh bread.
soda, Pillsbury products, high fructose corn syrup is another big one. I'm sure you know all about that one.
Mhm.
Um, it's linked to obesity, type 2 diabetes. It's found in everything from beverages to cereals, ice cream.
Yeah.
Um, and the UK, European Union have restricted the products and placed them under quota limitations. So it's basically like the rest of the world knows what's up with the high fructose corn syrup too.
And it's just like, why isn't the US banning these things? It doesn't make any sense.
Right?
Like they're feeding us stuff that's literally gonna kill us. And then like they wonder why the obesity rate here is so high. It's a hot mess.
Well, they don't wonder, they know exactly why it's high
Yeah.
because they made it that way. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They set it up that way. It's why we have the highest cancer rate because half the stuff that we consume is cancerous. Uh,
Yeah. It's
would
really
you
unfortunate.
would you like to read this first Reddit post?
Mm-hmm.
That
Okay. So this is from Reddit. Last week, I had the pleasure of visiting an European country for the very first time of my life. I have lived in the US for a long time and have watched our food change, and as a result, I can barely eat any products because of all the artificial preservatives in the food our government allows us to consume. I've had eczema for over 10 years. It just started to appear just on my hands, and it also coincided with major life changing events. So I thought the eczema was stress related, but found out that it was food allergies. I started watching what foods would make my hands break out, and a lot of it would be bread products, chips, prepackaged snacks, desserts, even boxed cakes, and any non-organic milk products, any candy, and even soda products that are filled with cherry or vanilla, ice cream, spices, and my list still goes on. What I eat these When I eat these items, my hands will develop a really bad rash, almost like a tiny microscope cuts. I say it feels like little wisps lashing out of my hands, and each food item will make just part of my hand break out. Like bread products make right ring finger and left thumb and pointer finger break out, and spices make my left ring finger and right thumb and pointer finger break out. I have watched this over the past year and a half and know what to eat and what not to eat. Very difficult and insane. This past week, when I was in Europe, when we were told it was illegal to put any preservatives in their food, any food, so I ate bread and my hands stayed clear. They didn't have junk food, or if they did, I didn't pay attention. But the difference in food alone makes me want to jump ship and move over there. Just the fact that I could eat and my hands never broke out once. Now I'm back home and have to starve or pay a ridiculous amount for organic. The US knows this food is unhealthy and is making our country fat and sick. Stop eating the food Stop eating the food this country is manufacturing is pure poison. American foods have been linked to cancer, obesity, hyperactivity, and smaller penis size. That's true. Due to poor food regulation and permitting things which every other country on the face of the earth has sense enough to block. Food imported from China contains lead, so much that the university tells you not to drink more than 4 cups of coffee or tea daily. Lead kills the brain. Artificial dyes and coloring come from pet- petroleum, which have been linked to cancer and hyperactivity in children. Microplastics inhibit blood flow and have been shown to shrink the penis, not to mention the sheer amount of pre processed food we have and what it does to the body.
Whew. Wow. That was the downside of things.
Yeah,
Oh, we have a comment. So Erica Jean says, I have so many friends from overseas that have chronic illnesses now living in the US. It's wild as fuck.
it definitely
Wow.
is. Like, I'm ready to move to Jamaica and eat fresh food from the island because I'm sick of this shit. It's
No,
crazy. Like,
I
it's
agree. I'm
crazy,
coming with you.
right?
Hmm.
It like it's insane, and it's just crazy. And anyone that's still eating, come on now, guys, it's time to wake up. Like, there's so much information out there and so much research. I don't like trying to tell people what to do, but come on now,
But
it's
see,
literally killing us. It's literally killing us. And people be
but
like, "Oh,
see,
you ate
but
like that for all these years," and like, yeah, that's why you'll have diabetes, high blood pressure, inflammation. Like, come on now.
see, I think also it's because of the media and the propaganda that's thrown at us, uh,
Yes, yeah,
that shove down our throat to distract people and say, okay, when they walk into the store, it's not a
yeah,
grocery store, they're walking into a corner store that has flashy, bright things with just candy and chips and
yeah.
oils and sugars and fats, you know.
Yeah.
So
There's so many distractions, man.
exactly. And it's easy to fall down that path or have that from day one, and that's all that you know because that's all that's
Yeah,
around you. And then you're passing that on to your kids before you know it. You're 2 generations in eating cheesesteaks and chips, motherfucker. And I'm like, that's
yeah,
me too. I still eat cheesesteaks and chips. So I'm just saying I'm not like down on anybody because I'm down on myself too in that sense.
hmm,
I also am educating myself and have been for several years now. And know very well, good and well what I should be and should not be
yeah.
eating. I weigh my options and tip my scale as needed, but
Hmm.
it's a daily process for me to
It
be
is a
better,
process.
do better every day. Yeah, so like I'm not I really am doing my best not to compare myself with anybody else.
Yeah.
like where their path is. I just
Right.
know that I'm on one, and I'm like definitely on the track. Like I'm far ahead than where I was like 7, 8 years ago. You know,
Yes.
so it's progress for me, and I'm proud to say that at least. You know.
Yes, I'm happy for you. And yeah, I'm not perfect either. I have times where I slip up and then I immediately notice the difference in my body and I'm like, "See, this is why." Like this is why. Like if I eat like I haven't ate regular dairy in a while, but the one time I slipped up and ate some ice cream, regular ice cream, and my stomach was hurting for days. Like
Hmm.
it's so bad. And even last Thanksgiving, we did a regular Thanksgiving, and I regret doing that. Like, we did it just because, family and everything like that. But I was like, this year, I don't care. I'm doing a plant-based Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So if
Yep.
y'all come over to eat and you want to eat meat and dairy, you have to bring your own food because I'm not making none of that stuff.
I feel you.
A lot of times we get distracted and pressured because, oh, it's Thanksgiving and, you feel like you have to. No, you don't. Like, that's all propaganda. That's a distraction. You don't have to do that. There's plenty of plant based alternatives you can eat.
Mhm.
And yeah, I know it's hard. It is hard because this world is full of distractions.
You know, we all are where we are as long as we're making our own personal progress. That's all that matters, you know.
Hmm.
But one thing I want to piggyback off of that you pointed out is that we're in 2023. There's a vast wealth of information out there to educate you on what path is good for you to take.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wrong camera's right here. What path for you to take that works best for you.
Yeah.
Uh, and you know, I look at you and I'm just so proud, but I still can't get rid of chicken. Um, that's my thing. That's
It's
like
hard.
what's really hard for me. Yeah, like I can get rid
Yeah.
of beef. I go like a couple months without beef, like I'm fine, you
Right.
know. But chicken, it's like I need chicken in my
He
life,
got
bro.
you in a chokehold.
For real, yeah. But I'm slowly implementing like mushrooms in, right? So I made this like this pot of like okay, so I cut up a bunch of chicken breasts, peppers, this like these strips of mushrooms, and when they get
Hmm.
moist, they like blow up. I don't know, they're really good though.
Ooh.
Um, and like a bunch of different meat with the seasonings, but some potatoes, some squash, and so I didn't even notice the difference between the chicken and the mushrooms. That's how
Yeah.
like I was like, okay, this I can fuck with.
Right.
So I just have to get there.
Yeah. There's so many things you could do these days with plants. We actually went to this vegan restaurant down here. It's called Crave Vegan, and they had like vegan sausage made out of potato and cabbage. It was so good. It was so good. Then they had like a vegan beef. They said
Hold
that
on, hold
was
on, hold on,
beef
hold
and
on, hold on,
mushroom
hold on. Stop at the beef. Hold on a second. Rewind to the potato and what sausage?
cabbage.
Potato and cabbage. Okay, so did they wrap it in like the rice paper
I don't
to get the
know.
skin?
I really don't know. But they said
Word.
that at this restaurant they don't use any like, additives, artificial things. But yeah, they have vegan sausage. I got a sandwich, like a vegan sausage sandwich, and they have vegan coleslaw on top of it and red cabbage. Oh my God, it was so good. And my son, he's still picky about the things, but he liked the sausage too. Like he was like, oh, it's good. Like it was so good. And then
Mm.
he had vegan beef, which they said they made out of beets and mushrooms. They had vegan chicken, which they made out of jackfruit, and that was bomb too. Like it was like crispy. They fried it, and then they put like the gravy on top of. Oh my God, it was so amazing. Everything was so good at that restaurant. So there's so many ways that you can use plants to make your food taste good. It's just about how you make it and prepare it. So no, you don't have to eat salads all day. That's what a lot of
Right.
people think. Like you just have to
Exactly.
eat salad and fruit. Like
I
no,
will
there's so many
say
things you could do.
there is, and I
Mhm.
think slowly but surely, especially with us Black folk, we're learning. And in a lot of places that you don't see the supermarkets, you are seeing a lot of vegan based, soul based
Yeah.
restaurants popping up. And
Yes, I love it.
statistically, Black people are the fastest growing demographic of vegan eaters and
Oh,
transitioning into living a healthier lifestyle.
that's
Um,
dope.
in the patron and the business aspect, the business owner aspect. So both of those sides are growing. It's that's beautiful to see because that
That
says good
is.
things for our community that we are making
Mm-hmm.
strides to live healthier and longer lives.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something positive.
Yes.
And I do want to touch on some other positive things. Um, the chakras
Oh
and
yeah.
right, and the foods that go with them. Food in the rainbow, as I like to say. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of painting a rainbow, how about eating a rainbow of colors? Right. So you've got your reds, your oranges, your yellows, your greens, whites, blues, and purples. Each of these colors has health benefits like improved vision, decreased inflammation, reduced risk of chronic diseases, including cancer, heart disease, diabetes, strengthened immune system. And these benefits are due to the phytochemicals that occur naturally within these foods. Phytochemicals also give foods their distinct aroma and taste. While each color provides certain benefits when paired with other colors, the effects on your health are astonishing. That's why it's important to eat a variety of colors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you want to pick that up?
Yes. Okay. So see what eating a rainbow of colors can do for you. So red fruits and vegetables contain like lysopin, which
Lycopene.
lycopene,
Yeah.
which improves heart health, decreases prostate and breast cancer risk, contributes to stroke prevention, and increases brain function. Good sources of how you say it?
So I only know about lycopene because of
Lycopene.
tomatoes. And so for some people, I guess it's bad, but for a lot of people, it's good. It depends on how much you eat it. But
Okay.
either way, I feel like lycopene, by the way.
Lycopene.
It is very
So
good for you. It's in a lot of red stuff.
nice. So that includes tomatoes, beets, radishes, cherries, strawberries, red onions, and red pepper.
Hmm.
Orange and yellow fruits and vegetables. These contain cardo, carotenoids, which reduces the risk of heart disease and inflammation, strengthens the immune system, builds healthy skin, and improves vision. Good sources of caro, carotenoids include
Carotenoids.
carotenoids include carrots, winter squash, apricots, yellow peppers, sweet potatoes, bananas, pineapples, mangoes, pumpkin, peaches, and oranges. These contain indolas.
Hold on a second. We don't have to go through that part. So I do
Okay.
want to touch on something real quick because you were about to touch on the green fruits and vegetables. So like the chemicals that they're talking about help prevent cancer.
Oh
And
yeah,
these
yeah.
foods are high in vitamin K, potassium, fiber, and antioxidants, which
Hmm.
help prevent neural tube defects in babies. So of course, green stuff like spinach, arugula,
Yeah.
broccoli, Brussels sprouts, avocados, kiwis, green tea, asparagus, fresh herbs, kale, artichokes. So think about it. These things are only stuff that may be familiar in America, but think about all the other items that are associated with a color,
Yeah.
right? That are in other parts of the world that are seasonal, you know. So There you really just have to associate the color with certain vitamins, nutrients, and chemicals to know
Yeah.
what it is that your body is lacking and what you may need. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
like with the green, it's the green stuff. With the white and
Mm-hmm.
brown fruits, those have anti-tumor properties, which is very interesting because those are root vegetables. They reduce cholesterol and blood pressure, improve bone strength, and decrease risk of stomach cancer. So talking about, like we said, root stuff, onions, mushrooms, cauliflower, garlic, and leeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Blue and purple vegetables, antioxidants, as we know, like
Yes,
acai,
yes, yes. The
associated with,
berries.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly, improving your brain health and memory, lowering your blood pressure, which makes sense, blue and purple, you
Yeah.
know, red, high red, you know what I mean? So good sources, like we said, berries, eggplant,
Mm-hmm.
figs, purple cabbage, grapes and plums. So basically, if you're trying to get a nice healthy feeling, just do your best. If you don't know what you should be eating, just eat the rainbow.
Yeah. Seriously.
Just eat the rainbow.
Right. Eat
Yeah. Oh,
foods of all different colors.
so some tips are to change up your usual choices rather than purchasing a green pepper. Grab a bag of many multicolored sweet peppers. That's what my personal favorite is because you get the reds, the oranges,
Yeah.
and the green. The reds, the oranges, and the yellows. And then I'll go and grab a bell pepper, a green bell pepper
Right.
to pair it with. So then I have all my colors of peppers because I love the array of different colors. Um,
Yes. I
you
love
can also
peppers.
right. Radishes I'm not big on, but I'm trying to implement them a little more. I
Hmm.
just am not familiar with too many recipes that use them.
Yeah, me
Um,
either.
right. I use a lot of frozen fruit for smoothies, but you can actually add them to your morning cereal with some Greek yogurt.
Hmm.
Swap out French fries for roasted purple or orange sweet potatoes. Uh,
Mm.
right.
I love
Uh,
sweet potato fries.
Me too. Yes. Cauliflower, get different colored cauliflower, different colored carrots.
Yeah.
Um, right. So just try and make your meals as colorful as possible when it comes to the colors that you're eating, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so we can talk about like forever chemicals. I wanted to touch on foraging real quick, and
Okay.
fasting. So I don't know if you have any experiences with like foraging or fasting, but I have like knowledge on both, at
Hmm.
least. And I have went on like a little tiny fast before, and I've been promising to go on one this year. It looks like 2024 will be the year that I go on fast.
Yeah.
But right, so I know you have experience with fasting, so I want to touch on
Yeah.
the foraging part first.
Okay.
I think you're familiar with the black forager.
Yes. I haven't
Okay.
foraged myself, but yes.
Me either. However, there are ways that one can do it. And if
Hmm.
anyone is familiar with Afros in Nature, they are an Allentown, PA based black and brown run organization that seeks to help educate black folks on living self sustainably through food,
Hmm.
naturally, organically, and helps them to forage, helps them also to do things that are stereotypically not seen as black things, like
Yeah.
kayaking, for example.
Right.
So they kind of help you to do like self survival kind of training and stuff as well, and it's a really cool thing. So,
That's
um,
dope.
right. So there are like resources out there and stuff for people. Now, I just want to give like a quick history lesson real quick to foraging because black and brown people, indigenous people, all across the
Yeah.
world were big on living off the land,
Yep.
knowing what foods were for eating, what foods were for medicinal purposes, what foods were for poison to do other kinds of things and cause different kinds of things, right? So
Hmm.
we kind of lost our connection to that. Not when we were like for a few generations as slaves, we still had a lot of this knowledge, right?
Hmm.
And we just masked it behind different things. We still had a lot of knowledge. When we started, when a lot of people started earning their freedom, they would forage off the land.
Hmm.
This is where trespassing laws come into play, and why you see so many private properties with trespassing signs, because
Hmm.
a lot of white owners sought to block off their lands and prevent slaves, or free or not, from using items off their land because they did not want slaves uh, nourishing themselves on their own, because that meant that they could do anything else on their own.
Yeah.
So all they wanted to give them was some fatback and cornbread, and if they found them with anything else, it was an issue. So
Hmm.
why you think we love pork and cornbread so much today,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the effects
This is
of eating things
generational
like that?
trauma.
Right.
Mhm.
Versus the foraging and people like the Black Forager, a black woman from the streets of Ohio, inner city Cleveland, um, helps us to realize that there is food any and everywhere. It's right outside your door. Uh,
Yeah.
the roses grow from the concrete, and fortunately, they do still provide us with substance. The world, the country still tries to tell us that it doesn't. But for
Hmm.
example, as we now know, and it's widely known today, that dandelions are very good for you. You can take the
Yeah.
leaves and put into a salad. You can take the yellow parts and make into a wine. You can eat them. You can caramelize them and make them into candy. So
Yeah.
every part of it is also edible, and people have always deemed it a weed, which it is not. It's actually a flower.
Really, yeah.
So there are many different things in our communities, whether you live in a blighted, redline community with food apartheid, or you're living in a luxurious um, suburb with nothing but grass. There still are a great deal of foods to live off of. We're just not told about it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Um, I wanted to do all that, get it out the way, because I wanted to ask you about your experiences with fasting, and how did that,
Yeah.
uh, how did that help shape your path of eating healthier? Was it prior to you going vegan, or was it during or after?
So when I first transitioned to plant-based, I we did a fast, a 7-day fast. It was a juice fast. Um, and that was, to cleanse your body of all, the meats and the dairies and the harmful things that we have been taking in. And then it really helped me transition over to the plant-based diet. Um, I feel like fasting for me, it really helps cut cut like cravings. Sometimes I notice when I'm like craving things or something like that, I feel like that's when I'm like, okay, it's time for me to fast or it's time for me to cleanse. Because like a lot of those cravings and stuff, I feel like our body just gets so used to certain things, like for example, sugar, things that have a lot of sugar in it. We start getting addicted, and the more we eat, the more cravings we have. So literally, you have to fast from it or cleanse off of it for your body to stop that craving. So now I fast every once in a while. I did one in the summer, a juice cleanse. And every time I do a cleanse, I always feel amazing. I feel much lighter. I feel I'm not, using the bathroom regularly. I'm not having cravings. You always lose a little excess weight or waste that you may have in the body. My energy levels typically, the first day is always like a little rough, but after that, you start to notice your energy levels are higher because you're not just eating for no reason. And I'm about to do a parasite cleanse. Um, so in that, I'm taking these capsules, 2 capsules a day for 7 days, and it has,
Thank you for bringing that up. And I
yeah,
wanted to touch on that with something that you had said prior to, because a lot of our cravings for sugar and salty things actually do come from parasites that we consume in
yeah,
our bodies from the
yeah,
American diet.
mm-hmm,
And a lot of people are not aware of this. So, like, a
yeah,
lot of times, if you're
no,
having those, and a lot of the ways to starve it are to just simply not eat those things and
yeah,
still eat healthier foods.
you have to
However,
fast, yeah,
exactly, the fasting part, and that's part of why I
hmm.
wanted to wait, because I knew you were going to touch on that. So go back to these capsules you're talking about.
So I ordered these capsules from this girl I found on Instagram. She's a holistic, she creates different capsules and different herbal tea blends. I'm going to pull up the picture so I can tell you exactly what's in them.
Hmm.
Where's it at? Where's it at? I literally just had it. 1 second. Okay. Okay, well, one thing I know it has in it is clove powder. So clove is really good for removing bacteria from the body. Okay, here it is. It has clove powder, black walnut hill powder, and wormwood powder. So I looked up what they are. Wormwood and so wormwood, it was it's used to treat, help with digestion, inflammation. It kills parasites like tapeworms. It kills skin infections. And the black walnut powder basically does the same thing. But it's so crazy because it was saying like our ancient ancestors would use these things all the time to kill parasites. So it's like we been knew this stuff, you know what I mean? And it's just we're getting back to it. So
Talk
I
about
love
it.
that we're getting back to it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm really delighted that you I just kind of set you up there. Like I was really hoping that you would can make the connection with like fasting and parasites and a lot of our basis for our addictions to sugar
Yeah.
and salt because it's not
Right.
just about the environment. It's not just about being put in these situations. It is from another aspect too. So we have to be mindful of all these things
Yeah.
and do what we can as much as we can as far as researching and just doing what we can day by day going
Yeah.
along. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that as that
Yeah,
that
of
that little
course.
thing there.
Of
Because
course.
a lot of people, I think a lot of people are not aware of that, and I figured that you would be.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. Um, where is it at? Okay. Uh, a new study finds 8 in 10 Americans have grown their own produce over the past year. Researchers have
Oh,
asked, right? Researchers have asked 2,000 people about their thoughts on gardening, and 65% say they've tried it themselves at some point over the past year. Of those
mm-hmm.
respondents who dabbled in gardening, 76% claim it's their new hobby, and 86% have eaten the fruits of their labor. 6 in
Oh, that's
10 say that witnessing panic buying at the beginning of COVID-19 inspired them to get their shovels out. In fact, 2
cool.
in 3 respondents believe more people should consider taking up gardening to have greater control over their food.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I feel like the pandemic opened a lot of people's eyes for a lot of things because we were like, okay, so if this shutdown lasts for a long ass time, we're gonna have to learn how to figure it out. Like,
Yep.
so I kind of, it was a blessing and a curse in a way, because I feel like
Yeah.
it awakened a lot of things. It awakened a lot of things, which
It
is
set
a
a
whole
whole new
nother, it's
tone.
a whole nother can of worms. But yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
Look, that's why I like words out my mouth. No, for real though, like it's a whole other can of worms to talk about.
Yeah,
That we should at some point, break
we
down
definitely should.
because we covered a lot here, and I think we connected it very well.
Yeah.
Um, there's just one last thing I do want to touch on. Um, the foods that best fuel your chakras.
Hmm.
Um, so we ran through the different colors of the rainbow. You can associate the different colors of the rainbow with um, certain foods, right? But you can
Yeah.
also associate, and they kind of coexist with the chakras and the colors too, if you're familiar. However,
Yeah.
they don't always. So we're going to start with the root chakra, which would be root vegetables like carrots, potatoes, parsnips, radishes, beets, onions, garlic. They don't always coexist with red, right?
Yeah.
So um, protein-rich foods like eggs, meats, beans, tofu, peanut butter, spices like paprika, cayenne pepper. Um, your sacral chakra, you have Sweet fruits like melons, mangoes, strawberries, oranges, almonds and walnuts, cinnamon, paprika, sesame seeds. You have your solar plexus, which would
Hmm.
be your grains and granolas like pastas, bread, your dairy if you indulge, spices like ginger. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that
And
does.
turmeric, right, right. Your heart chakra, if you want to feed your heart chakra, you want to eat like spinach, kale, green, any kind of greens. Uh, you also want to eat like, broccoli, celery. Um, I would assume like cucumber too, even though it's not listed here. Drink some green teas, have some
Hmm.
basil, sage, parsley. Your throat chakra, you want to drink teas, drink a lot of juices, waters. Um, your throat, excuse me, your crown chakra. I say the brown chakra. Blueberries, blackberries, red wine, stuff like that.
That
Uh,
makes sense.
your your crown chakra would be uh, air, excuse me, fasting and detoxing. So you don't eat anything when you're trying to cleanse your crown chakra, but you do want to
Yeah.
do a lot of smudging, um, myrrh, frankincense, juniper, sage. Um, so it's saying to specifically noting to not eat it, but it's ritualistic to be inhaled through the nostrils or through a ceremonial pipe for purification purposes. So I like how they put that in there. But all of these pretty much make sense to me. And if you're interested in checking these out, they are in the comments per whatever you are viewing this on.
Yeah, that's dope. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Um, So I want to go back to you. So was there any of like the kind of things that we discussed, did any of it resonate with you as far as like the journey that you took on eating cleaner as far as like let's say the parasites like you talked about the capsules, but
Hmm.
um how were you when you found out about that, for example,
Like the parasites. Oh my gosh, I was disgusted. But I would say the biggest thing for me was like realizing like, okay, I have children. So I feel like that was the biggest thing for me, like really wanting to change my lifestyle and change the way I eat,
Hmm.
and change the things that I'm feeding to my children. Because when I first had my first son, I was 23. So I didn't really know anything about any of this, and we were still eating whatever, eating meat, eating processed foods, and I feel like I definitely noticed. I wouldn't say he had behavioral issues, but he would be a little more hyperactive at times, or a little more have more tantrums, maybe be more reactive to things. And I definitely noticed since we have like detoxed him off a lot of that stuff, which he's not he's a kid, so sometimes he still slips up. Like we went trick or treating, of course, and like sometimes when he's at other family members' house, he'll eat like freaking chicken nuggets, which is annoying. But when he's home with me, which is majority of the time, we're eating clean. So, excuse me, I have definitely noticed a change in his behavior since like detoxing him off of all that food. And and when he has that food, I notice a change in his behavior as well. So, like, yeah, it's definitely a real thing. And I think that was the biggest thing of wanting to change my lifestyle is because I want better for my children, better for myself, to have more energy levels to, play with them and just live longer. You know what I mean? We're like killing ourselves with this food that we're eating. So,
Talk about it. I know
but the
we could go on
parasites,
and on about
that
that for real.
parasites that really disgusted me, like to know that we have parasites in our body from eating certain things. And I seen something that said the four. It was either no, it was three of the top foods that cause parasites. The number one is pork. So if you're eating a lot of pork, you have
Yep,
parasites.
yep, without
Like
a
you
doubt.
have parasites in your body.
Hmm.
Number two was farm raised salmon, and you talked about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are gonna eat salmon, which I don't, which
Mm-mm.
actually wild caught salmon is actually really good for you. So if you are gonna
I
eat,
don't eat fish at all.
you don't.
I will not anymore because I feel like it's all contaminated. I will not eat fish.
Yeah. Yeah, if you are gonna eat salmon, make sure it's wild caught. Because the farm raised, I learned that they're all like
Mm-hmm.
raised together in like a little
Mm-hmm.
pond. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's just disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
So that was number two for parasites. Excuse me, and sushi.
Mm-hmm.
Sushi was number three. So if they said if you eat like sushi like 2 to 3 times a week, you definitely have parasites.
Mm.
So yeah, watch out for those foods. If you guys eat any of those foods, make sure you do a parasite cleanse. I mean, I think we all should because we've all
Mm-hmm.
consumed that stuff at some point in our
Mm-hmm.
life. So yeah.
Especially if you are an American, you've got
Hmm.
parasites in its
Yeah, it's
probably a big
most likely you
contributor
do.
to why you are eating a high sugar and salt diet.
Yeah. They're literally
Mhm.
feeding off of that, and
It's
you have
crazy
to.
what parasites can do because they tell your brain that
Yeah.
you need sugar and salt. It's
Yeah.
like they control you, but you don't even know it.
Hmm.
Mhm. And I'm not
And
trying to
the
be like
eczema thing,
insidious, but I'm
the
serious.
skin, like the eczema and stuff, that's real too. Like how the article when she was talking about that, it definitely can be a food allergy thing,
Yeah.
the eczema, because I was breastfeeding, my son, and he had food allergy to something. I don't know what it was, but I literally had to eat really clean while breastfeeding because he was having like dry patches and stuff. So yes, food allergies and eczema, really got to watch what you're eating.
For real, for real.
Hmm.
Um, I don't feel like there like we don't have to do poetry if you don't want to do poetry, but
Yeah, I feel like it really doesn't fit for this episode.
thank you.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I nonetheless I still enjoy getting all of this out and
Definitely.
discussing it with someone that I know like enjoys talking about this and very much well gets it too. Um,
Yes.
and so like please everyone check out the links that we put in the comment section
Yes,
of
please
wherever
do.
you are viewing this. Yeah, and check out how you can contact us. If
Hmm.
you'd like to provide some information, if you'd like to come on and spit some shit, you're welcome to do
Yeah.
so as well. Or
Yes,
provide
yes,
a
yes.
topic. Yeah, any of that. But and even more importantly, check out the information that we put in the comment section because it's pretty interesting stuff. Like we just
Hmm.
dabbled in it, but the articles might send you down a rabbit hole of checking out some more articles. So that's what I'm
Hmm.
thinking.
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, if you don't have anything else, we can go ahead and wrap it on down.
All right, that's cool. Y'all have a good night, and thank you for tuning in.
Yes, everyone. Peace and love.
Peace.
Circumstantial.
Divine Marie.
Breathe.